Hello and welcome to the Charles Cook Podcast. I'm glad you could join me today. Today we're going to talk to a couple of folks here in my local county about some of the issues going on with our local government meetings as far as the school board and the city council and county commission races. Looks like that some of our government meetings are trying to silence or shut down or silence some of the citizens and when they can talk and stuff. So I'm going to bring one lady on each at a time and talk with them. So this should be good, and I hope you'll listen to it and pay attention to what's going on in your county, in your city, and your school board meetings, and see if they're doing the same thing. So we'll have you here in just a minute. We'll be going with one of these ladies here. Okay, I'm back, and I have a local, I call you an activist,
activist attorney.
Either one. So today I have Linda Noy, and she is a local attorney here in East Tennessee, and she is very active here in Hamblen County and Morristown with their local governments and what they're doing here. So with that, Linda, tell us what's going on.
Well, we're most concerned about the fact that the school board, the city council, and the county commission are all dealing with ways to restrict or limit or cut out certain periods of public comments in their meetings. And it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem advisable. You would think you would be wanting people to come and talk at your meetings and discuss things and bring up matters. And I think they don't want that after all.
Right. So what are they proposing? What do we have now, and what are they going to try to do?
Well, let me just do them one by one, because
Okay.
It can get confusing if you combine them all. The school board has already passed a policy change to reduce the speaking time for people who come to speak at meetings from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. And in addition to that, they make it extremely cumbersome or almost impossible to get on the agenda to speak at all, because you have to call the superintendent or the director now and get an appointment with him, tell him what you're going to talk about. He'll discuss it with you, and then he has the power to recommend or evidently not recommend that you be allowed to speak at the meeting.
Wow.
That is a wow.
So we're basically authoritarian.
It appears to be almost
a
dictator gets dictator director gets to say whether you go to the next step and get to speak at the meeting. Then we have city council, and they on Tuesday of this week, 2 days from today, that would be the December 6th meeting, they will be looking at eliminating one entire segment of public comments at their meetings. Up until now, the city council has had a comment period on agenda items at the beginning of their meeting, and then a comment period on general comments, things that you want to bring up, concerns that you have that are not on the agenda, but you want to discuss them with the council. They are eliminating that particular comment period.
Now, where do those fall in the different places in the meeting?
You can comment on agenda items at the beginning before the item comes up for a vote, and that's fine. That's where it should be.
Right.
Then they had another comment period at the end where you could talk about other items that they were not dealing with on their agenda, but you had concerns.
The non-agenda items.
Right. It was considered a general comment period.
Okay, so now what are they going to now?
They're going to eliminate that general comment period at the end completely out of their regular council meeting. Now, when they proposed that, and it was Mayor Chesney who made the proposal and told City Administrator Connie Cox, just take this one out. he said we may put it into a work session that wouldn't be taped,
Okay.
but we might put it over there. But they do not have any resolution that says it will actually be put anywhere at this time. We just have Chesney's offhand remark that, we'll try to do that.
So when do they generally have the work session?
They have work sessions right before the council meetings, usually 4 o'clock, because the council meets at 5. Generally, work sessions are at 4 o'clock.
So if you were a working person and you needed to go to a city council meeting to address something maybe going on in your neighborhood, whether it be garbage pickup or whatever the issue is, then you would have to show up at least an hour ahead of time, just to make a comment about something that wasn't on the agenda item.
Right. And that doesn't mean you would necessarily get an answer either. You just get to comment.
One question for you on that. Do you remember any of them running on that when they ran for office?
No.
Okay.
No, they took office and then they started this.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's pretty much it for the city council. Now, they have to pass that change 2 times. So Monday or Tuesday will be the first reading on removing general public comments from their order of business, from their agenda. Then there'll be a public hearing and another vote on second reading. It would be the 20th, 2 weeks later.
So let me stop you right here.
Okay.
And make sure I understand this correctly. So if you wanted to go speak on this at the city council meeting, this would be on the agenda. So you could actually speak on it at the first of the meeting.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yes.
Okay.
You can come on Tuesday and tell them you don't want them to remove general public comment. And you can come back on the 20th and tell them again before it becomes final.
Okay. All right.
Then we go to county commission. They also are trying to restrict or reduce or limit the public comments at their meetings. An item was passed out at the November meetings during the rules committee, and it's entitled items to be considered for local rules. It has nobody's signature on it, and it was not in the board packets, and it's still not in the county commission packets, but it was passed out to commissioners. And it talks about changing the 10-day rule for contracts. There is currently a rule that says commissioners have to get contracts at least 10 minutes before. It's 10 minutes. Well, that happens unfortunately too much. They're supposed to get contracts at least 10 days before they actually vote on it in a commission meeting. This proposal says there will be a 5-day rule, which means the committee meeting meets 10 days before, but the mayor may bring you a contract 5 days before the meeting. You may send it out in an email to everybody and then ask you to vote on it 5 days later without discussion, without going through a committee, without much time at all to ask questions or get information.
Or without even the public even seeing anything.
I don't know if they would plan to post it on the website, but how can you know to constantly go back and I've got to check? They might have done something. They might have done something.
Right.
That was the beauty of the 10-day rule. You knew when it would be there and it couldn't be changed unless there was an emergency or some vote to suspend the rule.
Right.
Now, on public comments, the county commission, at least whoever prepared this proposal, says there will be one public comment period during the commission meeting. In other words, they're doing exact or similar to what the city did. The county used to have agenda comments at the beginning, general comments at the end. Now they're saying there'll be one comment period. It'll be at the beginning, and you can talk about agenda items or non-agenda items, but now you're limited to 3 minutes, and you might want to talk about 2 agenda items. You've got 1.5 minutes for each.
So now make sure I get this correct. That I understand it's a little different than the city. You can talk about agenda or non-agenda items in this public comment portion of it.
Right.
for the county.
But see, that's limiting you where you used to have 3 minutes on agenda, 3 minutes on non-agenda.
Right.
Now
So if you wanted to, if you had two things that you wanted to address, then you're really getting very limited in what you could do.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, I get that.
And then county commission is just adding a few little items, like if you want to address the county commission, you have to sign in before the meeting. You didn't used to have to do that. You have to put your address and your topic, and then of course be recognized by the commission chair.
Do you think that may be used a little bit to intimidate people who really is not used to doing that, to speaking? I mean, for a lot of people who have issues they want to address, it's a little intimidating to them, coming up and to these places. And now you're having them to sign in and do all this other stuff. It's just nuts. So anyway, that's something to think about.
And when you mentioned that, I think it was at the last November meeting of City Council, Councilmember Simmer brought that very item up, saying many people struggle to get up and comment or say anything in public.
Yep.
And now you're making it just like it's an interrogation and so forth.
Yeah.
This also has that the public comment period will be a maximum of 30 minutes total. So now you're restricting the number of people that could speak. So say someone comes up and they're speaker number 11 and 10 people have already taken 3 minutes. You're out of luck, even though you made that effort and you want to speak.
So it takes me back to a couple of years ago when we had a couple of hot button issues and people were lined up out the door, down the steps, down a couple of floors and out the front door to speak when they finally cut it off and wouldn't let no one else speak. And so now they're wanting to put a time limit on how many people can speak.
Right.
Okay. Follow up to that as well. The same thing I asked about the city council election, because I do know that county commission members were just newly elected. And do you remember any of them running on this issue?
Not restricting
people,
I know
citizens,
commissioners who promoted openness and transparency, and I think you're going to be interviewing one of those shortly.
Yeah, but as far as any of them running on restricting citizens' time and comments, you don't recall any of these
Not before the election.
Not before the election. Okay, so that's one of the things I wanted to ask, because I do try to keep up with a lot of things, and you can't keep up with everything. And I didn't think any of them was that silly to do that, but now they're trying to do it. So I just wanted to ask that question.
I appreciate you asking it. That's an important point.
All right.
For committee meetings, they're going to make a reduction too. They used to allow 5 minutes for speakers at county commission committee meetings. Now they're going to reduce it to 3 and set a total of 15 minutes. So in committee meetings, they're saying really only 5 people, if they use their 3 minutes. You couldn't have any more than 5 people speak on a matter that's in a committee meeting.
Okay. Wonder how the teachers will and the education departments will like that, because I've seen them show up and they're wearing their red for ed, and a lot of them having plenty of people to speak. I wonder how they're going to feel on the county government limiting their time too. Let's see, if I do remember correctly, I think even the chairman's got some people that's in the education department. I'll have to think of that.
I believe the chairman and several other chairmen of other committees, like the finance committee chairman has somebody, or did. I think she's just retired. And
so it's
chairman of jail study.
Kind of, something to think about,
So, there's a word for it.
So anyway, anything else?
No, I just hope people will come out, send emails. We are going to post, we have a site called Citizens for Open and Accountable Government.
So give me some dates. When's the city council? Is it this Tuesday?
It's Tuesday the 6th, first reading on limiting public comment.
At 5 p.m.
And eliminating, yes, at 5 p.m. at the city center. Then they'll have second reading, a public hearing, and a final vote on 2 weeks later on the 20th of December. What a Christmas gift for the citizens.
Yeah, okay. And the county commission.
Okay, county commission has a rules committee meeting tomorrow. Now, they haven't put anything in the packets, so I have no idea what they plan to do tomorrow. But it is a rules committee meeting that could be dealing with this. And then they would have a December meeting on the, let's see, the 5th, and add 10 days on December 15th. And, you know, they could, I don't know that they will. I think they're kind of slowing up, particularly if you're not putting information out to the public. I sure don't think you ought to be trying to vote on stuff when you haven't provided anything. As far as the school board, they just did their thing in November, reducing public comments and continuing with the, hey, you got to go through all these hoops, even if you, and we'll decide if you're going to be allowed to speak after that.
Okay. One more question. Local media. What have you seen in local media about any of this?
About cutting public comments, I don't recall anything about cutting public comments.
You would think that would be something that the local news media would talk about, right?
A responsible, true journalistic local media, yes.
Okay.
Our media, no.
So, well, I just wanted to ask that question because
well, and they'll have a wonderful, you know, Sunshine Week in March of every year. You know, we support open government and open meetings and open records.
Right.
And then when it comes up, crickets.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, Linda, thank you for joining me today and helping get this information out there. I know you've been active here in Morristown and Hamblen County for a long time. And so again, folks, if you got the opportunity, go attend their meetings and find out, learn more about what's going on here in Morristown and Hamblen County.
Or if you can't attend, send emails, call them, and we're going to put those addresses on the Citizens for Open and Accountable Government Hamblen Facebook page.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm back. This time I have Edna Green. She is a newly elected Hamblen County Commissioner. She won her primary in May. Is that correct?
Sir. Yes, sir.
And then had no primary challenger in August in the general election. No. Okay, and just to make sure we make it clear about the importance of voting in local elections, and how much did you win your election by?
4 skinny little votes.
And that was in a 3-person race?
Yes.
Okay.
I ran against a former county commissioner and the present county commissioner.
Yeah. Okay. So you won by 3 votes. So just
4
votes. So it's important. Every vote does count. So
yes.
Make sure you get out and vote in these elections. So with that out of the way, tell us, and now we just finished talking to Ms. Noy, and so tell me, where do you stand on this? I don't want you to get into the city and stuff, but what do you see going on here with the county commission and their new proposal on public comments?
First of all, I begged for every vote I got, but I told them I would run for transparency, accountability, and openness. I'm a firm believer, if you don't want someone to tell you what they need, don't run for the office. We're not there to shut them out. We're there to listen and do what they direct us to do. We shouldn't have someone else's agenda. I don't. But I do hear a lot of times we don't have the time. If you don't have the time to listen to citizens, don't run for the office.
Right.
Now, a lot of times they cut it short. They don't answer questions. They don't offer to get information. You know, our chairman at one time told them his door was always open. If they asked, he'd get it for them. But unfortunately, I haven't seen that answered in any meeting so far since September.
Okay.
I have seen him tell people that that wasn't the place to ask questions when they ask about the noise issue. But no response. He did make the remark that everybody needed to email the mayor and tell them that they needed to know what that was. That issue has been brought up at least 2 or 3 meetings back, and of yet, nothing has been done.
Yeah. So now I know you can only speak for your race. Spend a lot of time and money running for office.
Yes, sir.
Did you knock on anybody's door and tell them you'd like to cut speaking times at the county commission?
Oh, no.
Do you know of anyone else that did?
No, sir. No, sir.
You spent some time and money in this election, right?
Yes, sir.
And asking people to vote for you.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand why it would seem a little crazy that people would want to shut down the citizens that voted for you
Amen.
from speaking?
Certainly do.
So that's why I have questions about this. And, so from comments, I'm sure this has had to come up already at some work sessions or anything. Has anybody said why do they want to do this?
The bad part about Hamblen County Commissioner, and I'm District 14, there are very few questions asked. There are no answers offered. Half the time, the stuff that's brought up, we don't even have the full details. The last commission meeting, the mayor sent an email Wednesday night before we had a meeting on Thursday that he was going to have to bring up $100,000 change order. I emailed him Thursday morning and asked to see the documents. He emailed back, there was no documentation. Now, I don't know how you don't have documents for $100,000 issue, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The way I do business, there would be documents. But we just have nobody asks questions. Half of the commissioners sat there and they let it go through. When I went to questioning 2 meetings back about a letter from the comptroller's office regarding a reoccurring expense in the school board, I was told point blank that was further back. It was done addressed. There wasn't a question one asked about that. Several of our new commissioners, well, one of our new lady commissioners was one of them that asked Mayor Britton, was it not discussed? And Mayor Britton told her it was discussed. It was not discussed. In no shape, form, or fashion. We have too many people that they want the job, but they don't want to ask questions. They don't want to answer to constituents. And yet, you do answer to constituents. But that's what it's all about. If you didn't go in to serve, you went in for the wrong reason.
Yeah. Now, I'll ask you one of the questions, same as the question I asked Ms. Noy. Have you seen anything in the local media? The media does show up for your meetings, right?
We have usually a Tribune person there every meeting, but half of the stuff is not reported.
So they're not putting this in
No.
the newspaper.
No.
Maybe, I guess if it's not making it in the newspaper, then local radio is not covering it either. Okay.
No.
So all of these changes that it's just making it harder for the citizens to speak and stuff and voice their opinion is not even being covered by the local media.
No.
Okay.
People have no idea.
Okay. What else do you want to add on this subject?
I'd like to see people get out. I'd like to see people contact their commissioners. Now, some of them will not answer an email. Even as a commissioner, a lot of times they won't even acknowledge that I sent them an email. I sent one regarding this issue, I guess it's been a couple of days ago. I think I had 4 commissioners that admitted they got it. Not even Trish admitted that she got it till I asked her face to face. And that's the mayor's executive assistant.
Yeah.
And the bad part was I put on the bottom of it, please confirm you received, so that I would know each one of them got it before I brought it up at the next meeting.
Yeah. How many new commissioners were elected this time?
Let's see, we have Ahern, Richardson, Harville, Long, me, Walker, That's it, I think. And Hale,
Yeah, okay, so 6 or 7,
yes,
okay, and we have 14 commissioners,
yes.
okay. You would think that with some of the new ones coming on, that we would have some folks that were, willing to speak up and ask questions. Hopefully, we can shine some light on this stuff
Oh, yes.
and bring it to some people's attention. If not, then I guess it will be a election issue that they're hoping for in 4 years down the
Yes.
road that everybody will forget. That's why they do these things right after they get elected. So hoping everybody will forget. And the sad part about this, and I'll say this, and this is on me, and I said it. A lot of these people that are doing this stuff to the citizens are sitting on the same church pews as a lot of these folks in church on Sunday morning, and they're not being called out for what they're doing to the people. So just keep that in mind. All right, Miss Edna, anything else you want to add?
In their defense, Commissioner Peggy Hale has asked questions repeatedly. She has certainly picked up on the noise, and she has told them that they need to be doing something, but as I said, they've not. Commissioner Walker has got to where he asks questions. Now, Commissioner Neesmith is out sick, and bless his little heart, he did ask several questions and did well. But other than that, it's like that they took their voice. They're not there.
Yeah.
And you go to try to talk to some of them, and it's like, I don't want to hear it. But we need to be working for the folks of Hamblen County. We need to be controlling expenses. We need to be controlling this nightmare I call a jail. There's just so many things that people need to be paying attention to because it will affect them financially. And Hamblen County is not booming.
Right.
Like Chesney told them the other night, I watched his presentation. I think it was WBIR News about how good Morristown was doing. We're not doing that way. Most children are leaving Hamblen County for better jobs than what there are here. We need citizens to get out, get together, email, call, make your voice heard. If you will contact them, you will see some results because they don't want you telling them what they done. And it really does tear them up. Now, your chairman has run on the policy that it was an honor to serve and he was there to work. Please let him work for his money. Talk to him, not only him, call the rest of them, and especially the ones that have been there, that have voted so extensively to spend your money. And I'm talking about Commissioner Horner, Commissioner Huntsman, Commissioner Reed. They're there. Call them out, ask them to do something. And I thank you for having me this afternoon. I really appreciate this and hope our citizens do get out there. We're looking out for children and grandchildren. We need to make the effort now.
Okay, you're welcome. And so I'll be back in a few minutes with closing, and I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, I'm back, and I just wanted to bring this to you today and show you on a local level in a small county in Tennessee, what's going on. We see a lot of this stuff. We turn on the news every day. We watch stuff on social media. This stuff happening in Virginia, it's happening in Michigan, it's happening in Texas, but nobody really realizes that it's happening right in your own town, under your own nose, and it's happening right here with my city and county governments. So pay attention to what's going on. When these people, you see these politicians out in town, when they come and knocked on your door and asked you for your vote, ask them why they're doing this now, and don't listen to the lines that they hand you. There is no need for trying to silence citizens' votes. Okay, citizens' voices when they come to speak their minds at a meeting. Also, just there's no need for this, and I lost my train of thought there for a minute. But just keep this in mind. Stay focused what's going on. Like I said, don't focus on Washington, D.C. A lot of this stuff doesn't matter that you see up there. I mean, you have the same kind of things happening right here in your local government. And so I just asked you to be focused and pay attention to what's going on in your local community. And I think you'll be surprised what you see. With that, I thank you. If you want to follow me, as I told you before, Charles Cook Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Alexa. So you can follow me on all of those. So with that, I thank you for watching, listening, and have a great day.